Let's bring back into our conversation Mark Claxton, Cedric Alexander, Chris O'Leary, and Carmen Best.
Cedric, if we could go to you here. The Mark Santia just provided us information that apparently after taking aim and shooting the police officer who was on duty in the lobby of this skyrise, went up the elevator to the 31st floor, struck a civilian before taking his own life of a self-inflicted gunshot wound on the 33rd floor. When you're hearing those details, of course, we're waiting for NYPD to provide us more. But at that point in time, what would be your construct when you were looking at how law enforcement would be responding, knowing that an individual, an armed gunman, is in that high rise? And what could you glean from the information that apparently one civilian was struck on one particular floor and then he went to another floor before taking his own life?
Well, I think once we have this press conference, we're going to get more information. I think it'll fill in some of these gaps that we're somewhat unsure about. But I certainly do believe and have seen in the past when you have a gunman enter a building as such or any type of structure and they're there for a purpose, whoever they come in contact with first, in this case, a police officer, which came across to him as a potential threat and was able to very cowardly shoot that officer and went on and proceeded up through the elevator or staircases, whatever the case may happen to be, and began to shoot other innocent people. We don't know how many other people were, of course, may have been injured as it relates to the shooting itself, or people who may have injured themselves trying to exit that building. But when you have a large structure as such as you have there, then what will happen that officers in their SWAT team will surround that building, cover all exits, and maintain and contain as much as that building as they can until other officers and other specialized units such as SWAT respond. And that is an all hands on deck type of operation when you're looking at a structure that huge. Now, it becomes very important to note here as well that the aftermath of this event, there will be opportunities where law enforcement will go back and they will be able to take a look at the things that they could have maybe responded to differently and things they responded to very well. But of course, anytime you have injuries or someone is assaulted, someone is injured, we always go back and look at the things that did occur. Because unfortunately, sad as it may be, we know there are going to be other incidents as long as we have these weapons that are out on the street and oftentimes available to anyone who wants to use them for any nefarious act. So this is going to be a very ongoing investigation, not in terms of what we're going to hear tonight, but here again, what will follow in terms of what was the whole idea behind this shooting, sparked this, and were others involved? It's been for some period of time. What other intelligence information that may be out there that, of course, may not be for public consumption at this time? So this is going to be a lot bigger, I think, than what we can even imagine, and we can speculate. But when you have such a horrific act as this, where someone enters such a huge structure, and what I find really striking is that he can walk through this city, wherever, however he may have gotten there, whether he was dropped off, came in an Uber, took the subway or whatever, and walk with a weapon alongside himself. I'm quite sure that created a great deal of angst and phone calls even before he got into that building. And that part, needs to be looked in as well, too. When did the first call come in? Because here's someone with a long rifle walking down the streets of New York City. You don't see that very often. And in a city as such, people in that city are going to respond, and they know how to respond by calling 911 and observing and taking videos and pictures, which is probably where some of this footage may have come from.
I think to that point, Chris, you have national security and intelligence background and looking at this kind of scene and situation, what are some of the TikToks that the FBI are going to be going through? Very much to what Cedric was just saying. There's going to be CCTV video availability, possibly phone calls to 911. All that kind of goes and sets and creates the timeline up to entering the building. And then take it from there as well. Once inside the building, the witness statements and all of those pieces, forming sort of an intelligence briefing about what occurred, if you will. And that will hopefully inform the initial part of the press briefing? Or is that something that comes because of the length and breadth of it, comes a little bit later?
Well, I think the police commissioner will share as much as she can at this time to let the public know there's no ongoing threat, and share as much information that they've confirmed, possibly the shooter's identity. If there are indicators that there may be an ideology, something that leans towards terrorism, or if it's something that part of the investigation is uncovered that this was a very narrow targeted attack against somebody or something in the building that he had a grievance against, a personal grievance. So I think you will hear that from Police Commissioner Tisch, and really just letting the public know that there's no ongoing threat. As far as what the FBI will be doing, if there is an indicator that this may be terrorism, they'll be going through all the, his social media, his digital footprint. I'm trying to illuminate his network, who he talked to, and who he's the close associated with. And, as you talked about, they'll start, tracing back his daily events, how he got there, who else he met. They'll look at the data on his phone to see who else he may have been co-located with. Again, if there's somebody else, if this is an ideology, somebody who shared that ideology, who mobilized him towards violence, where did he procure the weapon? Did he do weapons training? All those things will be a part of the investigation if it goes onto the federal terrorism side. If it is just targeted violence because he was fired from a company there, or he had an ex-girlfriend or something of that sort, which carrying an AR-15 seems a little extreme for some of those things. But, listen, we're in a country that there's over 400 million guns in the United States now, and the ability to procure a high-powered rifle is fairly simple in most states. So nothing is outside of the realm of the possible here.